I think it's our accessibility, right? And our ability to be nimble and make decisions quickly. I always tell people you're speaking to the decision makers. And if you're not speaking to a decision maker, you're only one call away from a decision maker. And that's really what separates us, is that we're able to get things done. And we've got the same or better market reach, market knowledge, and ability to execute. I think
Welcome to the Getting the Deal Done podcast. I'm John Martinka. My special guests today are Paul and Brian Reamer with Reamer Insurance, a second generation all lines insurance company in Miami, Florida. So welcome, guys.
Thanks for having us.
Glad to be here.
So why don't we start by telling us a little bit about your story, and your dad started the company, and a little bit about what you do, type of clients you like to work with, and then we'll go talk more about the transition and lessons in growing a business and other things. So who wants to start? Which one of you?
I'll take this. So, again, thank you so much for having us. And like I said, we're really excited to be here. Our business started in 1978. It was founded by our father, Stephen, and it's since had many iterations, but we are now second generation. Brian and I run the business today, but my dad is still very much involved. He's 77, still wants to take over the world, and has as much energy as ever. And we are now licensed in 50 states. We have close to 80 employees. We have 5 offices with the 6th on the way, which we're super excited about. And we operate primarily in 3 different divisions. We operate in commercial lines, we operate in personal lines, we operate in employee benefits and life insurance. And so that way we're able to service the needs of really any client that walks through the door, and or anybody that we reach out to. We've got the reach of any national firm, but the touch of a high-end white glove service type of agency. So, as far as, how we're growing the business, it's really organic. And we're focused on our values: family first, business second, always, continuous improvement, loyalty, and always doing the right thing.
Okay. So are the two of you now owners or part owners?
Yes.
You are. Okay. So have you bought out your dad?
They were gifted. Our ownership was gifted to us.
Okay. So how did that work?
It's a good question. So first, it started with us deciding that we wanted to go into the business, and I think we each had our own little journey getting to that point.
Mine was littler than yours. I knew right away that I was going into the business, but we both started working in the business early. And Brian will continue the story.
Yeah. So growing up, we worked in the summers around the business, doing everything from manual labor to having odd jobs to help out where we could. And over time, Paul really gravitated to knowing, hey, this is an industry I could see myself growing in. I'm going to dedicate myself to it. He went to college for it, worked in the company after college, got his MBA, worked in the business while getting his MBA, and then afterwards worked in various different roles throughout the company. I decided, let me see what else is out there. And I did my undergrad at Harvard, spent 5 years in New York working in finance, investment banking, and private equity, and then got my MBA from Wharton. By the time I knew I wanted to get an MBA, my dad had told me that was a requirement for me to come into the business. And during those 2 years of an MBA, we, as a family, I think, had a lot of time to reflect on, okay, what do we want this business to look like in 5 years, in 10 years? How do we want to transition the operations to the second generation? And we put together a family constitution that addresses how we address each other at work, how we address each other outside of the office. How often are we going to meet in terms of family planning with the business? And do we want this to be a business that is a true business, or is this going to be a resource for our family for lifestyle purposes? And we had tough conversations over those 2 years and did several iterations of it. And it was a gradual transition of ownership, not one that just happened immediately. And that ownership comes in two forms: economic, and then ownership of actual operations and tasks and responsibilities. Um, so, a lot of kudos to my dad and my mom, who actually went through that process, had the foresight to start educating us early and empowering us throughout.
Okay. So you mentioned your dad insisted you have an MBA to come work at the company.
Both
Uh,
of us.
I know. When Paul said he got an MBA, the question popped in my mind is that have has your MBA and what you learned through that education helped with growing the business and managing it?
I think it certainly has. I was transitioning from a more technical role and private equity in analysis of valuation and transitions of teams, financing, leverage, et cetera. But what I didn't really get in that position was the soft skills, the management piece, and several other components of my skill set that I draw on a daily basis, from uh, HR to marketing to operations. Those were things that were outside of my finance skill set that I draw on. And of course, just the life experience and network base that you build during that time has really shaped me and helped me continue, going forward with, I think, a level of confidence that I didn't have before.
Okay.
And for me, it was I've learned only through being in the business and through being within the family business. So for me, going to get my MBA was getting that additional management perspective, growing my network, and ultimately, I work with several of the folks that I got my MBA with, and we do business together or work together in some sort of capacity. So it certainly has been beneficial.
Okay. Yeah. Have you guys done any growth by acquisition?
A little bit. I wouldn't say it's our main mode of growth, but we've completed over the course of the history of the company a few acquisitions. Our most recent one was a very small one in 2024.
Okay. And you are completely an independent agency, right?
Correct.
So, Brian, you talked about the soft skills, and especially, I guess, dealing in insurance, which is very personal. Even to a business owner, it's very personal. It's money out the door that, oh, I can tell you what a client recently said. I hope never to get any of that money back. Yeah. So talk a little bit about the soft skills that you've needed to grow this business to what, 80 people?
Yeah, I think that one of the items I didn't realize beforehand was the importance of sales. And I don't mean that just in terms of a client acquisition standpoint. I also mean it from, growing our team, telling our story. Um, Everything you do in this business is um, how you frame things, and um, your ability to put yourself in other people's positions and think through their situation the way that you would want someone else to advise you. And so we utilize that on a daily basis in terms of our perspective. And I think the ability to have exposure to so many different types of business and types of people really helps us become more well-rounded in the advice we're able to provide.
Yeah, I think you said something very key there, Brian. And I'm looking on the end of my desk here. There's a book by Daniel Pink, To Sell is Human. And I don't know if you've ever heard of the book, but it goes into everybody is selling. Parents are selling to kids, kids are selling to parents, to teachers. Like you said, you're hiring someone, you're selling, they're selling. And it's not just knocking on the door or someone calling you and say, "Can I have a quote on insurance?" It's all the things that lead up to that.
Absolutely. And Paul and I each have two little kids, so we get that reference extremely well.
So what's been the biggest challenge in growing the agency to where it is now?
Uh, One, it's people management, but really like striking that balance between having technology enabled operations with still keeping the personal touch with our clients. I mean, it's all about relationships at the end of the day, but we are also running a business, and making sure that we strike the right balance is always going to be something that we have to manage through.
Okay. So I guess what people lessons come to mind that would help others?
Well, one value that we always come back to is family first. And we, as an organization that served this well over time, is making sure that our people understand that they need to be there for their families and be there for the moments that matter in their family's life, and provide the right support that allows for them to focus at work, but be there for the moments that matter, and providing that level of grace and providing, that environment that shows that we're family first. So, but with people, it's being good listeners and being empathetic to people, but being also realistic in any situation, and not being too much of a pushover.
There's no substitute for being there for your team. And I think one of the things that we really strive for is to have our team feel supported by us, both personally and professionally. So making sure they have that mentorship to continue their career tracks, and making sure that we understand how we can help them in their personal lives as well. And once you have that holistic approach to the people that you work with on a day-to-day basis, and are ultimately your most important asset in your business, you're going to do extremely well.
Now you've grown to 5 or 6 different locations. Um, what is you talk about making people and holistic and family. What is the challenge with all those locations versus people in your office?
I think it's just continuing to build leadership out in every location. You can't be at all places at once, and making sure that you have people that you trust, and people that are loyal to you, and people that have the leadership skills to be able to lead a group of people. I think that's always going to be a challenge as you continue to grow locations. Um,
We call it culture carriers.
yeah.
So people who you recruit that you think will embody your values, and carry them forward on a day-to-day basis, because um, very quickly um, you can upset the apple cart by making a bad hire, or not taking action when someone's not upholding your values the right way. And that's one thing I think we've been very steadfast on, and are hyper focused on continuing to make sure it stays put.
Okay. So what are the plans for the next 5 years in the business?
We're at an awesome inflection point within the business, where we have the opportunity to really scale it to the next level, utilizing technology, continuing to rely on our amazing people, and forming strategic partnerships with third parties that I think will add tremendous value to our business, so that we can be um, better servicing our end clients. Because at the end of the day, that customer experience is the critical part that makes us successful.
Okay. So what's your What do you look at as your competitive advantage against the big players in your industry? And I don't mean the ones that advertise, uh, the humorous commercials, but I'm talking about the Brown and Browns or USI. What's your competitive advantage against those behemoths?
I, I think it's our accessibility, right? And our ability to be nimble and make decisions quickly. I always tell people you're speaking to the decision makers. And if you're not speaking to a decision maker, you're only one call away from a decision maker. And that's really what separates us is that we're able to get things done. And we've got the same or better market reach, market knowledge, and ability to execute.
Yeah, just to add to that, best analogy I can give is when you hire a law firm and you hire a senior partner, but then you have a junior analyst who's working on your deals or first year out of law school, you're not getting what you're paying for. And with us, having that senior level attention on each and every account is something that allows us to provide the best quality advice to our clients and also know that we can be there for you when you need us. Our clients have our cell phones. They know that they can reach us on a Saturday or a Sunday. They know that when they're having a problem, we're going to be there for them.
Okay. So if somebody came to you in a different industry and said, guys, would both or one of you mentor me? What would you want to impart to them on how to grow a non-insurance business?
You want to take this and I'll fill in behind you?
Sure. So I think the first place to start with growth is making sure that you're passionate about it. If you're spending long hours, time and energy and resource into something that you're not passionate about, it's just not going to work. Second thing that I think is really critical is surround yourself with someone that you feel comfortable going through this with. There are going to be highs and lows. And I will tell you, talking things through with my brother, my father, and my mother have been critical for my success because there are going to be days where it's going to feel like the weight of the world is coming down on you. And then there are going to be days where, you're light as a feather. And I'm so fortunate to be able to have something that I'm really passionate about, really helping our clients protect themselves for the worst day that they will ever have when they have a claim, and being surrounded by amazing people that I can, feel intellectually stimulated by and really trust in terms of seeing them in our growth trajectory.
And the other thing I would add to that is build consistency. Once you do find all of those things, keep doing it and develop healthy habits to support the work that you're doing.
Okay. So you guys are in the middle, and every company is, they have vendors and they have customers, and but you have insurance companies on the other end of the spectrum. And as nice as you teach or treat your employees and your customers, you still have to have what they want from the insurance companies. What do you, is that a game that has to be played, or
It's not so much a game as it is a lot of relationship management. And also, we live in a world where the market dynamics continue to change. Prices change, terms change, carriers have different appetites, different people that you're dealing with at carriers. So it's up for us making sure that we're organized in our approach to managing those relationships, making sure that there's constant communication between our team and the carrier side. And that, that's another competitive advantage that we have, is because we manage that process so hard, we are on top of what the latest trends are. We understand evolving coverages. We understand who to go to when a deal needs to get done, or who we need to speak to in order to get a quick decision. So it's, a lot of relationship management, the work that we put into managing our business, we do with managing our carrier relationships.
Yeah, just to add to that, the dynamic marketplace, I think, is a competitive advantage for us because it's changing, but we have our fingers to the pulse. And I think also for us, we have just a unique situation where our brokerage business is by far the most brokerage business of any other industry. If we make a mistake, it costs people their livelihoods, not just a little bit of money here and there on a deal or transaction. Like if you're not covered and it's claim time, you could lose everything you've built up. And so we take everything extremely seriously, and aligning the appetite with our carrier partners, with our customers, is such a fun part of our job that we get to execute on.
Okay. So if we're getting to the end of the time here, but I did want to ask, as you transition from your dad to you guys, and it sounds like your dad's still pretty active in the business, and let's just put in the disclaimer. If you knew your dad would not listen to this podcast, what were the glitches in the family transition?
We're very open about the glitches.
Okay.
Yeah. Look, I think when you've built something from scratch on your own, letting go of any piece of that is a difficult task. And so it requires patience on both parts of the spectrum. One, from the founder, and two, from that second generation who's taking things over. And having open, transparent communication is the critical part for that to be successful. But there are going to be times where it's going to be hard for one of the two parties to let go. It can be something as menial as taking out the garbage, or it can be as meaningful as transitioning key partner relationships. So I would say that, you're going to have that regular tension, but ultimately the buck is going to stop with the decision maker, and everyone can hash out their differences vigorously. But once that decision is made, you have to move forward full speed ahead, and everyone has to buy in together.
Yeah. And my dad makes the ultimate decision today. When we have our discussions, they happen to be very healthy. We do our best to support whatever arguments we have using facts and data that support what we have to say, not just on gut intuition. But we've had lots of healthy conversations around that, and we always fall back to our values, right? And when you're guided by values, it never really gets out of control. And we understand that we're a family first and a business second, and we're able to operate in a healthy way because of that.
Would it be fair to say that you guys are more technology advanced than your dad?
Yeah, that would be a fair assessment.
That would be an understatement.
I think I knew the answer. I've had my daughter working with me for 8 years now, so I understand some of that, and the letting go part of, okay, let her do that. Don't just keep your hands off. And it works. Sometimes it doesn't go exactly the right way, but we get there.
And
So,
one of the
Paul, I'm going to
most
start with
important,
you.
yeah,
When you're
one of the
not
most
running the family
important,
business, what do you like to do?
I love to golf. I mean, that's a simple question. I love to golf. I love to eat. Most importantly, I love spending time with my family, my wife Jerry, my daughter Lily, and my son Brett, and our extended family.
Brian.
Very similar, minus the golf. I'm more into the sports where I've been getting a workout in, but maybe I'll pick it up soon. Love spending time.
We had a good time out there.
Absolutely, absolutely.
Yeah.
And John, one thing to add, I think is really, really healthy and hard to do, is letting one side of the coin make a mistake. So when you're working with your daughter, hopefully they're very small mistakes because you're guiding her throughout. But those lessons, I think, are transformational in terms of how you experience things going forward. And being able to learn from those mistakes is how you get better each and every day.
Yeah,
We've
and
made
that's not just with family, that's building any kind of management team. Uh,
Agree.
you got to let people do it on their own and stumble, and you can be the safety net early on.
Exactly.
Okay. Oh, this has been a great discussion, guys. So again, I'm with Paul and Brian Reamer with Reamer Insurance, and we did not talk about insurance at all. We talked about family dynamics and growing a business and taking care of customers and employees. So uh, I don't care what business it is, and it's just those things are universal, and they're universal when you want to grow, and they're really important to have that in place when it comes time for someone to exit their business, whether it's next generation or to an outside buyer. So, guys, thank you for being on the Getting the Deal Done podcast.
No, thanks for having us. We appreciate it.
Thank you for having us. And if anyone does want to talk about insurance, they can reach out to us at reamerinsurance.com. Looking forward to speaking to all of you folks.
And I will put that into the show notes and we'll go from there. So, thanks, guys.
All right. Thank you.